We've gotten a lot of great information from the first two sessions, and there are a lot of people signed up. We are going to keep this to 90 minutes tonight. So our request, and we've got a timer that can be obnoxious. We're going to ask people to speak for 3 minutes. When the timer goes off, please stop, so that we can get to as many of your fellow community members and citizens as we can in this amount of time. So if you can be respectful when you come up to that 3 minutes, so that we can hear from as many people as we can during this evening session. Your input is incredibly valuable. We want to let you know that there aren't final decisions made, that what you are telling us and what we are hearing is having a profound impact on what we do and how we think. And we appreciate the passion and genuine care you have for this community. It's very impressive. We've gotten thousands of emails. We've read them all. And we've heard from over 60 people already today. So without any further hearing from me, Mrs. Cassie Dietrich will call out your name. She's going to do the best at pronouncing your name correctly. And then we'll go through and have you come up. If you could just speak into the microphone and then hand it to whoever's next. So who am I giving this to first? Yes.
Number 1 is Claire Crumlock.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight and for your willingness to truly listen and understand the significance of this decision. My name is Claire Krumloff, and I have lived in Bristol Commons neighborhood for the past 15 years. I'm here to advocate for MAP 1, or a modification to MAP 3 that allows us to stay at Kaufman. As you know, Bristol Commons was hit hard with elementary and middle school redistricting just 5 years ago. I have 2 children, and they were in 2nd grade at Wyandotte and 6th grade at Carr when they were moved to Bailey and Grizzell. If we get moved to Scioto in this redistricting, my kids will have attended separate elementary schools, separate middle schools, and separate high schools, all while living in the same house. After the last redistricting, I assured my youngest that he would never be affected by redistricting again. He struggled when he was forced to a new elementary school, all while COVID was breaking loose. I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would be back here again, facing another move. We live about halfway between Kaufman and Jerome, 2 miles in each direction. So why would we ever be forced to go to another high school that is twice as far and over already crowded bridges and dangerous intersections? If MAP 3 is adopted, it will be a true hardship for these Bailey kids. They will end up going to 2 different middle schools and 3 different high schools. If you look at MAP 3, you can clearly see that the Bailey section that is carved out is literally an island. We will have Jerome students to the north and west of us, Kaufman students to the south, and their Scioto peers across the river, whom they have never been to school with before. They will know a very small percentage of kids, and it'll be a burden for them to engage with their peers, as there just happens to be a river that runs between us. During the last redistricting, we were told repeatedly that Brand Road was a natural boundary that could not be ignored. Why aren't those natural boundaries being considered in MAP 3? I know we need to solve for 8 criteria, and some will be solved to a greater extent than others, but they all deserve equal weight and attention. Proximity, natural boundaries, maximizing busing efficiencies, contiguous zones, feeder patterns, and long-term growth all matter, and all are important in making this decision. According to the data, MAP 1 moves 432 less kids over our bridges than MAP 3, all to get to a school that is farther away from their current school. That should matter. The fact that we live twice as far from Scioto than Kaufman and have to pass Kaufman to get to Scioto, that should matter. The fact that kids can safely bike to Kaufman but cannot safely bike to Scioto for activities and other school events, that should matter. All these factors matter, and all we ask is that the committee or whoever is making the final decision, that they look at the accurate data and perform a fair process. Please do what is right and allow Bristol Commons and the neighborhoods that surround it to stay at Kaufman. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nikita Siraj, and I live in the Bristol Commons neighborhood with full-time working parents and a middle school brother. I'm a junior at Dublin Kaufman High School, and I would like to advocate for MAP 1. I would like to start by talking about my middle school journey, which was impacted by COVID-19. In 2020, I completed 6th grade through the Remote Learning Academy due to COVID-19. Going to 7th grade, I was faced with the difficult choice of staying at Carr without bus service or moving to Grizzell with bus service due to redistricting. I opted to stay in Carr, believing that 64% of students would feed into Kaufman versus a 27% from Grizzell. However, despite the 64% feeder expectation, I felt isolated at Kaufman due to a low number of familiar peers. I experienced anxiety, stress, loneliness, frustration, and confusion, and on top of that, I struggled with adjustment, which negatively impacted academics. I often returned home feeling depressed and reluctant to attend school. I've always felt that Jerome and Scioto students were luckier due to 100% feeder continuity from Davis and Eversole Middle School. I'm personally not impacted by the new high school redistricting due to my ability to drive and parental support, but I'm deeply concerned for my younger brother. Under MAP 3, only 27% of Grizzell students will feed into Scioto. I predict significant emotional and social challenges for my brother and other students, similar to my own experience. I believe this will negatively impact Bailey and Grizzell community kids. I advocate for MAP 1, which sends 67% of students to Kaufman. I feel like this would help my brother, along with others, cope with this transition. I strongly believe that MAP 3 does not support students' well-being. Along with the emotional and mental impact this transition will have on kids, I'm concerned about the transportation to and from school. In 9th and 10th grade, I heavily relied on parents, biking, and walking. With Kaufman being only 5 minutes away by drive, this was okay for me. However, a 15-minute drive is a significant difference. I also participated in various clubs, the marching band, and winter guard, all of which required transportation to be made outside of school hours, sometimes way late. I'm concerned that moving kids to Scioto would reduce participation in extracurriculars due to transportation challenges, along with increasing burden on working parents, especially with longer work commutes via 270 from Sawmill versus Post Road to Kaufman. I implore the district to consider MAP 1, which is the best option for students in our neighborhood who have already been impacted by recent redistricting decisions. Please factor the long-term mental health and academic stability of your students in your final decision. Please allow students in our community who have already endured multiple moves to remain at their current schools. Thank you for your time and serious consideration of this urgent matter.
My name is Shrebalini Bagchi, and I have lived in this community for 22 years. My son went to Bailey Elementary and is now a proud 7th grader here at Grizzell. I'm here to speak against MAP 3 and for MAP 1. Bailey community has been more than just a school. It has been a family. The sense of community, the warmth among the teachers, parents, and children, that's what makes Bailey special. It's a place where kids feel known, supported, and rooted. It's a living, breathing community, one built on friendship, shared experiences, and mutual support. Our children have grown up side by side in classrooms, on playgrounds, and in after-school activities. Families here carpool together, volunteer together, fundraise together, and celebrate milestones together. Our parent involvement is one of Bailey's greatest strengths, and it thrives because we are together, because we know each other, we trust each other, and we work together as a team for our children. Divide us, and that sense of shared ownership weakens. MAP 3 would break that apart. It would dismantle a support system that has taken years to build, one that helps our kids feel safe, confident, and connected. We talk so often about social, emotional well-being and stability for our children, but how can we promote stability while fragmenting a thriving, cohesive community? Besides, MAP 3 also creates unnecessary logistic challenges, which we are hearing all the time: longer commutes, more traffic congestion, increased transportation costs, with no clear educational benefit. It ignores the natural neighborhood boundaries that make MAP 1 such a practical and community-focused solution. Beyond the numbers and lines on a map, this is about people, us. Our children who deserve consistency, parents who have invested deeply in their school, and a district that has always valued the idea of neighborhood schools. MAP 1 honors those values. MAP 3 undermines and contradicts them. We understand that change is sometimes necessary, but not all change is progress. MAP 3 would come at a high cost to our children's sense of stability, to our community's cohesion, and to the very values this district stands for. So tonight, I request you earnestly from the heart, please don't break apart something that is working so beautifully. Keep Bailey together, protect the community that has supported our children and this district for so long. Say no to MAP 3, choose MAP 1. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashley Benton, and my husband and I have 4 kids at Bailey. And I work and lead a data and analytics team, so data is my passion. My HOA in my planning block has 11 kids, so my neighborhood is Bailey. And that's how Dr. M defined neighborhoods in elementary school in his original webinar. He had the pride of Dublin and how our community is built upon the elementary school. And that's what I do, and I work, and I have parents that can go to Latchkey and pick up my kids. Tonight they had to help me pick up from piano so I could be here. And then, for us, when we sign up for Timbits in Dublin, we pick Bailey as our elementary school. That's what we do. And so we're uniquely impacted. We split into 2 middle schools. Only 4 elementary schools split into 2 middle schools. In MAP 3, we then split into 3 high schools. We are the only elementary school to do that. So when you think about the numbers, that means 66 students next year will go to Scioto. That's 3.7% of the Scioto population will be Bailey kids. After 4 years, it'll be 15%. We will not know the other 85% of students. That is a big impact on mental health, and that is something we need to consider. There's a lot of research out there I can send you in terms of how redistricting in high school is much more impactful, and we basically redistrict every single year. On top of that, what's really challenging is now our transportation is much harder. So we will double our commute by going to Scioto. We're already splitting and having a small amount of kids go. We now have no safety problems to go to Kaufman, and we're gonna add 4 to 5 to go to Scioto. So we're not hitting any of these criteria. And the goal is 8. It's all 8 of them. So the other thing with transportation, I've done this data analysis. MAP 1 sends 432 less kids over the bridge. Everyone talks about the bridge is complicated, challenging. We need to send the least amount. MAP 3 is very inefficient. You are busing kids that used to be walkers. We will bus 63,000 more miles in bus 3. We do not have the bus drivers. We do not have the funds. So now you have the data. When the scoring was previously done, you did not have the data. So you need to look at this again as an internal planning committee. And the other challenge I have is how it was done before is diversity was weighted higher. When you weight the 8 criteria, you need to add a weighting. Otherwise, the higher score will arbitrarily bring it up, and that's what happened before. So the scoring does need to be redone. So in summary, you really need to consider the mental health of these kids. Only 1 elementary school splits into 3 and 2 middle schools, and that's Bailey. No one else does. Keep these micro communities together. Do not create the isolated student groups. You heard from a student before. We don't have the budget. We need to minimize crossings over the river, and we need to redo the scoring process. And any map that goes Jerome at 111% should not be used, and that's MAP 3. We'll be back here at each other's throats in 5 years. So please, pick MAP 1, or MAP 9's good too.
Hi, my name is Allie, and I want to thank you for all the time you're taking to make the best decision for our district. I want to start off by saying that we love Scioto. Scioto is an amazing school, and we love the staff and students and families there. We have nothing against Scioto. What makes Dublin one of the highest ranking cities in the country is its community. I grew up in Dublin and went to Kaufman. I taught at Kaufman and currently live in the Kaufman area. The community of Dublin is what makes people want to move to Dublin. I have a friend I went to school with since kindergarten. Now we both have kids on the same soccer teams. There's something to be said about these deep and meaningful relationships that are built from longevity. You said you wanted to look for improvements for the drafts to hit more criteria, so I want to propose Draft 9. Draft 9 is a modification of Map 1, where north of Rings Road stays at Kaufman instead of the whole inner belt going to Scioto. It was the draft Dr. M was going to present to the district before his email was broken into. It was chosen by Dr. M and the company Dublin City Schools hired, who does redistricting professionally, because it ranked highest when considering all the criteria. I love that we're considering community input and personal opinions, but we need to look at the maps logically and objectively to come to the best decision for our district. Map 1 already beat out Draft 3 on proximity, busing, continuous zones, and natural boundaries. That's seen in the traffic studies, and also it's pretty clear just by looking at the maps. I will show how Draft 9 improves Map 1 to hit the remaining criteria. Accounting for future growth, for the 5-year projected enrollment, Map 3 ranges from 81 to 93%, but Draft 9 ranges from 86 to 89%. For the 10-year projected enrollment, Map 3 ranges from 79 to 111%, and Draft 9 ranges from 81 to 84%. So we see that Draft 9 beats out Map 3 for future growth. To balance school facility utilization, looking at this criteria in isolation, Map 3 is better because in Draft 9, Jerome dips to 73% and Kaufman raises to 95%. However, these slightly more extreme percentages allow for Jerome's rapid growth and Kaufman's slow decline over the next 5 to 10 years. Without these more extreme percentages, we would likely have to face high school redistricting again in the near future. So again, this peak and dip is good because it accounts for future growth. Consider diversity. Dr. M defined this criteria as not statistically negatively affecting any high school. Draft 9 doesn't negatively affect diversity, so it hits this criteria. And diversity is improved in Draft 9 from the originally presented Map 1. Feeder patterns. Map 1 had worse feeder pattern results, splitting cells 19 and 81%, but in Draft 9, it's now a 27% and 73% split, which are now comparable numbers with Draft 3. Draft 9 also keeps Bailey together and Indian Run together. Each of those are split in Drafts 1 or 3. I think there could be minor modifications to the boundary lines south of Brand by Jerome that would allow for Carr to stay together and feed into Kaufman in our next middle school redistricting, which will probably be sooner than we think. To conclude, Draft 9 barely loses in feeder patterns and diversity, but Map 3 completely neglects proximity, busing, continuous zones, natural boundaries, and future growth. I want to ask you to please look at these criteria logically and objectively. Thank you.
I want to thank the board and the superintendent here for taking time to listen to us. It's very important, for getting us the opportunity to convey what we have in our minds. First of all, I want to start with something personal. When people choose their homes, they know exactly where they go to, what schools they go to, and proximity and the safety around that community. It is very personal. It is not something numbers-based. I live in a community where I do not get bus to middle school. I do not get bus to high school. I live in less than 0.6 miles from both the schools. I'm okay with that choice. My kids get to walk to the school, bike to the school, both high school and middle school. It is not the first time Dublin City has targeted my home to move to redistricting to another community. In the prior redistricting in the middle school, they wanted to move us to Eversole, whereas I could walk to my school. My kids go on bike to school. And again, come 2 years later, I'm again being asked, even though I'm less than half a mile from Jerome High School. So I'm really not seeing how Map 3 is even a viable option. So again, please, it is natural fact that, the kids the teenagers or the young adults are not safe drivers. Let's not force them to drive for longer distances and risk our own lives. All right. The second one. It is very sad to see that Dublin City has chosen an unproven mechanism for this redistricting. In the prior redistricting, there was one map put and the feedback was collected and the map was adjusted. It truly hurts me to see online communities where people are raging against each other. You have divided amongst us and letting us fight amongst each other. This is not a true leadership. There are also rumors around, some influential communities got hold of the proposed map and they diluted by putting map 3. I do not believe in any of those. But what I believe in is Dublin City School stands for its transparency and leadership and makes decisions based on keeping the kids' interest. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to quickly cover on the two other options. The growth considering the Jerome High School and the financial benefits that map 3 would bring, or map 3 would not bring, I should say. So how does it make beneficial to bus bunch of kids who are less than half a mile to go to a different school? We have requested Dr. Marsha to publish a financial study to keep us transparent, but I have not seen any of those. And it hurts to see that there is an IPT score which is based on invalid data saying that map 3 is good. I'm here to request every one of you to reject map 3 and support map 1. Keep the data transparent.
Sarah Hall, number 7.
Hello, my name is Sarah Hall, and I am a MAP 1 supporter. However, I am going to go in how I also support MAP 9 because I do think that it hits more of the 8 criteria. The first thing is that I've noticed, speaking of the 8 criteria, is we kind of been focusing on one criteria. 90% of the board meetings are talking about socioeconomics, and we are forgetting about the other 7 criteria. We need to think also about feeder patterns, geographic boundaries like the river, and I think that we can improve on map 1, which I think improving on map 1 is focusing more on map 9, which all of Thomas goes together and stays with Scioto, all of Bailey and all of Indian Run stay together and go to Kaufman. So I think that those focusing on how K-12 continuity, and instead of disregarding it, and how the 3 maps focus on just one thing is not working. That's it. I propose map 9 or map 1.
Yeah,
that's me. Okay. Number 8?
Yes.
Yes,
number
that's
8.
me.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's drying up. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Good evening, Dr. M. and all the board members. Yeah, of course, I think this gentleman set the step. I did not know him, but I kind of echo where he's coming from. I think, as you know, it's very difficult time for us to kind of deal with this redistricting. And obviously, as the choice of residence is a personal, as what he said, right? I already own the house, and I know half a dozen other, thanks. Half a dozen other my friends, actually, they also own the house. They bought their second house here, only and only because we decided to send our kids to a particular school, right? I mean, that's a big upset. I obviously moved very recently, it's about 4 years ago, but this is not an everyday decision that we make in our lives. It will derail our whole planning and destabilize our mental health and everything the way you can imagine. And while I do understand you guys have been working very, very hard, But when we are talking in a community, people were scratching their head how Dr. M has come up with the option as MAP 3 as a viable option, even to consider. Tossing people across the street from a roundabout to completely 6 miles away where they can see, I can see Jerome High School from my bedroom. You can walk down to any single room in my house and you can see Jerome High School. And now you're asking me to kind of walk down like 5 miles. So I'm trying to see like how did you come up with this option 3 and actually introduce a lot of anxiety, frustration, and fighting against the community. I mean, this is really a big thing. Obviously, I'm not an expert about this episode. You have probably definitely taken care about a lot of other things. But I would like to reiterate few of your criteria and how they are not making sense. So I think I will probably run out of time. So I'll quickly walk through. It's like first is the utilization, right? Growth and utilization. You have a 6% delta and you are giving full credit to MAP 3. You double counted utilization and growth 2 times. And you have look at your number, you only have 5% delta and you cannot predict utilization 10 years down the road. And you are tossing the proximity into the completely trash can. So you are giving equal weightage for different criteria that you set for, which does not make sense to me at all, right? How can you put something very critical? When you get a salary, you buy the grocery first. You don't plan for going to a cruise, right? You have a different importance of different things. You have given proximity, you have given feeder pet. Of course, feeder patterns is important, but you have given socio-economic, right? Social impact, like how much people earn and things like that. Do you think like this will stay the same and your projection will hold the true? If you change this map, people will sell this house and go to the place where you draw the boundary for the school, if they want to choose to do so. So I think it's kind of difficult for you to put together. What I'm saying is that you need to really consider this whole criteria in one more time. I completely reject MAP 3 and support MAP 1 or other form of map that will actually allow walkers to walk to the school and not completely destabilize their life. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I really appreciate Dublin City Schools for giving us this opportunity. I live in PB 137, which is at Brand Road, and literally our house is like 5 minutes walking distance from Jerome High School. So we are directly impacted by Draft 3. I have an elder son who is a Jerome School student, and he went to school by bike or walking every day last couple of years. And I have a middle school goer who is going to be starting high school in a year or so. So now we have been asked that take a bus ride or a car drive and drive like 5 miles, and which during the morning hours, it's going to be 10-15 minutes at least. So to me, this is inefficient. It's also counterintuitive. If board agrees on draft 3, I would like to propose it at least consider the certain criteria like proximity, have some room for amendment. Like at least the communities who are like 5 minutes away from school, do not force them to go to a distant school. So that's my only ask. I oppose draft 3 as it doesn't look organic and natural. I think draft 1 is more natural, but I know there is a lot of sentiments around all these drafts, and I have been having very heated debates with my friends in Jerome Village, like blaming each other because of you guys. We have to accommodate. We are Dublin residents, we should have the priority, but I don't want to get into that. All I want is have some common sense and logical approach to how these drafts are manufactured, especially draft 3. Do not force us to take a bus ride or drive every morning. And draft 3 also included the Muirfield Village area, which is currently going to Kaufman School. So now they will be driving towards Jerome, and we will be driving away from Jerome on the Brand Road, which is kind of funny. So I would request the board to at least keep these things into consideration. And if the map 3 has to be approved, make some amendments so the close proximity communities will not lose their neighborhood school. I have been having hard time explaining my son who is in middle school that why his elder brother was able to go to school, walk and bike, and now he will have to take a bus ride, or I will have to drop him every morning 10-15 minutes away, going to the line, because as we know that Kaufman Road is very busy during the morning time. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening everyone. So first I want to thank you, Dr. M, and board of members and other IPT members who actually organized this and give us the opportunity to raise our voice, to be heard. So first, my name is Dr. Mouddin. I am a resident of PB 55, about 2 minutes away from Jerome High School, and the only block at Bishop Elementary School that's currently going to be assigned to Jerome in draft 1. In draft map, of course, in draft map 3, we're not even out of question. So I want to break my discussion into 2 parts, mainly on the emotional side, and then how we talked about the reasoning, the common sense, and then of course if I have time, I can go to the data. I am also by profession, I do that data analysis, so I have gone 100 hours on this one to research the whole map. I can name by the blog, I can know who is who, but that's not what I'm going to go there. So first, before I get to the PB55 and all that, but I want to just mention that the redistricting process has been very difficult, has been really difficult. I think for last 2 months, in my family, in my neighborhood, in everyone in our friends, this is all we talked about. So it is very emotional. It has not been. So I think I want to mention that board member during the board meeting, Mrs. Gillis said this is a missed opportunity. We are doing what we should have done 6 months back. But here we are. So we got to solve the problem. So from that, I want to say that PB55 should be part of part of the Jerome, including the neighboring block on the PB55 is PB57. I think this is PB58. PB137, I can go on. These are all what we can hear. So I don't want to go back to my, back to my home, and I'm telling my elder one is going to go to high school next year. I don't want to say, so we can hear, we can see Jerome band playing, and I say, hey, it's very loud. We can see, we can hear, but we cannot go to the school. My elementary school, 3rd grader, she goes to Bishop Elementary School, and the other day she's saying that she walked to Jerome High School for bear crawl fundraising, but she cannot go to Jerome High School. So I don't want to go back home, and I'm telling my 2 kids, the high school are gonna be next year, and then the elementary, that you guys, even though you can see here and go to elementary, Bishop, or Carr, or see it, you cannot. I don't want to be that parent, and that's what I am here for my children, for our children here. So those are all emotional things. So if I have, I'm running out of time, but I want to mention one thing, that social economics part that actually weighted way too high in that. I can give you the number, I send email to the board members doing all the research. I can also say that there are some, score has given 0 on social economics out of 15% who is, 0 is not a number that you can put because it means that there is no diversity. And also you put 10 people who actually did the number, meaning perfect diversity. That doesn't make sense. So if you go back to the numbers and see what it is. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Dr. M, and members of the board and IPT for your time throughout today, which has been, I'm sure, very difficult for all of you. My name is Ryan Damon, and I am here as the parent of a Sells and 2 Indian Run elementary school students. I live in Waterford Village neighborhood, and I am here on behalf of Old Dublin and the 94 students that are in those planning blocks. Simply stated, change is difficult for everyone. Today and over the past month, you've heard powerful emotional pleas from the residents in the district of why they shouldn't be part of this change. My neighbors and I have been very vocal about it. but also we have shared with you in many forms data and analysis regarding the impacts to current and future students from Old Dublin. I am not going to stand here and repeat those facts to you. You have them in your emails. You've heard them from us throughout the day. If you would like, I can send them to you again. Instead, I'm going to use my time to call on you to try to separate the emotion and use logic and objectivity to make the best decision for all students in the district. Today, the process has lacked the appearance of objectivity. From leaked maps, public comments in board meetings, and the glaring omissions in the maps considered, the process has appeared to show a bias to certain neighborhoods in the district. I say appear, and I want to emphasize its appearance, but that fact has not been shown yet. Personally, the fact that no map presented for public comment showed a single student moving from Jerome to Scioto is baffling. This is the reason why we embarked on this whole process. So, how can we move forward in the most logical and objective way for the betterment of the district as a whole? The IBT has scored these maps. While no individual map has received a passing grade, this is our best jumping off point. As mentioned, my neighbors in Old Dublin have provided data points regarding transportation, safety, utilization, proximity, feeder patterns, future growth, and diversity. This data leads to the logical decision that the districting of the R94 students, current as well as the future students, to Kaufman High School would be an improvement on any of the maps. And I encourage you all to review that data again, and I'm sure you will come to the same conclusion. Our focus has obviously been on our own neighborhood. That's where our responsibility lies. As elected members of the board and employees of the district, your responsibility is to all students and all residents in the district, not individual neighborhoods or individual schools. Within the data that you have seen, that's been provided to you, it's going to show you which neighborhoods need to be moved from Jerome High School in order to give a better environment for all of our students. We, as all the members of the district, are entrusting you to make the best decision for our children and the district as a whole. Thank you.
To hand in my card. Hello, I'm Carrie Schmidt. Thanks for having the opportunity. I mean, you're many, many hours into this day. I'm sure you're feeling a little bit crispy, and I've had a day, so I'll keep this pretty quick. I live in historic Dublin. So that's part of the Old Dublin planning block. We've come together. That was one of my neighbors. I have a bunch of friends over there. And we've all worked really, really hard to understand the current situation that we're in and understand what the redistricting means for us. When we bought our house in historic Dublin in 2009, long before Bridge Park was even there, we bought into the vision, which is that our neighborhoods and our community in that core part of Dublin will come together, build community, form those family friendships, and be walkable and bikeable. And that includes things like the library and the parks, and yes, the restaurants and the shops and the schools. We expect that we will be able, as an Old Dublin community, to go to school where we live in the old core of Dublin. And Kaufman is that school for us. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and we've also done a lot of data, and it's super great to hear how many people have really invested so much time, because that's how much our community cares about the kids that we're representing here today. In our case, what I've learned is that for 4 of the planning criteria, going to Kaufman versus Scioto, which was not available in any of the 3 maps that moved forward, has a neutral effect on your scoring. So that's good news in the sense that it's really not something that instrumentally makes a meaningful difference on where we go one way or the other. The sad news is going to Scioto versus Kaufman, however, greatly increases our risk in terms of traffic, in terms of busing patterns, inefficiencies, timing, and we've run all the data too. And the good news is you've also read our emails, so you have them in your inbox. You've seen the data that we've sent you. It shows that we already live in a really complicated traffic area based on where we are. Trying to turn left when you're going north on High Street at 5 p.m. is almost impossible to get on Bridge Street, right? And so now you're adding a lot more traffic, a lot more use, a lot more risk. The roundabout will have more accidents. We will see more problems with that. Instead, we want to keep our traffic patterns and keep our safety and keep our kids together. So bottom line, if our old Dublin, our 94 students, continue to go to Kaufman as they have always thought they would, we will be supportive of most of the criteria. We should not have an instrumental impact on the scoring. We will increase, though, the opportunities to keep our kids safe in our busing and our traffic efficiencies, and we will keep them together, which is really our most important objective, is we want to keep them together and keep them in the spirit and tradition of Old Dublin going to Kaufman. Thank you.
Grace.
Good evening, Dr. M and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to listen to our voices tonight. My name is Grizzell, and I live in the Westbury subdivision. I am speaking on behalf of all the walkable neighborhoods in the shadow of Jerome High School. Those neighborhoods that are south of Brattleboro, including Westbury, Wyndham Village, Park Place, Oak Park, Bishop Run, Bishop Crossing, and Autumn Rosewood. As a community, we strongly support MAP 1, which keeps these neighborhoods at Jerome. Across the country, proximity has long been the common sense foundation of school assignment. Children attend the school closest to home. It shortens travel time, strengthens neighborhood bonds, and promotes safety. Jerome is built into our daily lives. We can see the building from our yards, and we can hear the marching band all the time. MAP 1 honors this reality and keeps kids close to home and community. MAP 3 breaks from this principle by sending students who live near Jerome several miles away to Kaufman. A 15 to 20 minutes commute each way adds up to roughly 75 to 90 hours per student each year. Time that should be spent on learning, extracurricular activities, and family, not sitting on a bus. For households with multiple students, the burden multiplies. Walkable neighborhoods should be the last moved, not the first. MAP 1 is also the more fiscally responsible choice. Compact, efficient routes are safer, cheaper, and easy to staff. MAP 3's scattered boundaries would require more buses and more drivers, stretching an already limited transportation workforce. Longer routes mean more fuel, maintenance, and driver hours. Those are avoidable costs that taxpayers will shoulder for many years to come. When fiscal efficiency matters, we should choose a boundary plan that minimizes operational strains and maximizes reliability. Our community also cares deeply about socioeconomic balances. MAP 3 appears to weight that factor heavily, but the demographics are dynamic. People move in, people move out, patterns shift. Permanent school boundaries based primarily on a moving snapshot is unstable policy. We can pursue equity through targeted programs, staffing, and resources without imposing long commutes on students who live right next to their neighborhood school. As a community, we urge the board and Dr. M to keep our community zoned for Jerome High School, adopt Plan 1 and abandon Plan 3. Thank you very much.
evening, Mr. Superintendent and board members. Thank you for hosting these sessions and for your commitment to doing the right thing for Dublin City Schools. I know you have to balance many competing interests, and I hope that in doing so, you ground your decision in common sense and logic. My name is Melvis Hausman, and I am a resident of the Oak Park community, which is part of Planning Block 57. Many of the Oak Park homeowners are here with me tonight behind me. Oak Park is directly across the street from Jerome High School. Yet under Draft 3, Oak Park is being moved to Kaufman. Does that make any sense? There's no other community in any of the maps that are currently under consideration that is located across the street within a 2-minute walking distance from a high school that is being assigned to a school that is much, much further away. I know there are others in the district who support Draft 3, but even those same supporters would agree that moving Planning Block 57 to Kaufman High School makes absolutely no sense. So I stand before you today, speaking on behalf of myself, Oak Park, and Planning Block 57, requesting for you to please move Planning Block 57 in the Oak Park community to Jerome High School, even if that means that our students will go to a different high school than their car peers. Prior to this meeting, I sent to the board and Mr. Superintendent a petition signed by a majority of the residents within Planning Block 57 in support of this request. But since Oak Park is the predominant development in this block, I thought that it would be helpful to show you how the overwhelming majority of the Oak Park residents support moving our community to Jerome High School. The other members that are on the panel have already received this map. For our community, the benefit of going to Jerome High School due to the proximity to that school far outweighs any potential downsides of any misalignment with any potential feeder pattern. I urge you to use common sense and logic and move Planning Block 57 and Oak Park to Jerome High School, regardless of which map is adopted. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for letting me share and for all of us to share our feedback to you this evening. My name is Becky Cooper. I am in Bishop's Run, Bishop's Crossing neighborhood. That's Block 56. The border of Block 56 is the boundary line right up against Brand Road, and there lies Jerome High School. So we share a boundary or a borderline with Jerome High School. In map 3, we would be sent to Kaufman High School. And it just feels like that's not common sense, like that's unacceptable. We want to remain where we can see our school from where we stand, from our backyards. We could throw a cat at the school. Do not throw cats. But it is so close that we felt shocked that we would even be considered to be moved to another high school. When proximity is so close that you share a borderline, then there's really no other criteria necessary. While those things are important, when you're this close, that's what makes the most sense. And that's where our argument lies. Ideally, we would stay with the larger neighborhood group that comes from Glacier Ridge and Bishop Elementary, including neighborhoods such as Oak Park and Park Place, Westbury, all these Autumn Rose, these people back here behind me. Because we've gone to the same elementary schools together. So we should remain together. We're on the grounds of the Bishop's family, which is why we are named what we are named. And the elementary school is named what it is named because we were built, these neighborhoods were built on that family's land. If Bishop was redistricted to Kaufman High School, that would be like Kaufman High School. Take that school, say the boundaries were different, the growth was different. It looked different than it does now. So we were looking at Kaufman High School and we look at Kaufman Road and we said, well, let's just say everyone west of Kaufman Road cannot go to that Kaufman High School right there. That's how close we are. That's how close we feel. It's walking distance. It makes sense. We would never do that. We would never choose Kaufman Road as a boundary line. And we do not believe when we're this close to Jerome, we should choose Brand Road as a boundary line without some exceptions like Bishop's Run and Bishop's Crossing. If Bishop's Run was redistricted, we would have a senior next year in the Jerome Marching Band, which we've said we can hear. We can hear all of the Jerome Band. We can listen to them practice every day. And then we would have a freshman at Kaufman Marching Band. How would we manage that? So this is a situation of many people. So I commend you. Please start with map 1 and make adjustments from there because it does make the most sense. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Max Chang. I live in the Oak Park community. To be honest, I never thought I will be here. Why? Because, you know the distance from my house to Jerome. Not 1 mile, not 3 miles. Just 900 feet. But in map 3, we will move to Kaufman, about 5 miles away. I have to say there is no perfect plan. No map is perfect. But if I just got 2 options, map 1 versus map 3, I definitely will choose map 1. Why? Okay. Map 1 I think is grounded in logic, safety, and long-term vision. I will give you 3 points, even though I read a paper, I also send the paper to the leadership. But I will just share 3 points. First, proximity, safety, safety, and common sense. Across the U.S., proximity has always been the foundational and the most common sense principle of the public school assignment. Students should attend the school closer to where they live. Why? Because this will minimize the travel time, build the neighborhood cohesion, and promote the safety. It's not safe and it's not safe to send the families who live just near Jerome several miles away to another high school. According to the data from the CDC, long daily commutes increase traffic explosion, especially for the teen drivers who already face a 3 times higher fatal crash rate per mile than the older drivers. Point 2, transportation efficiency and cost. There is internal data analysis shows map 3 will need more buses and more drivers. How many? Currently, there are 141 drivers in Dublin school. But in map 3, we need more drivers, more than 20 drivers. It means it will need more money and also the staffing times for everyone. Point 3, for the long-term vision. I know we also talk about the utility. We also talk about the utility for the schools. But if you look at the map 3, Jerome High School will be reached the highest 111% in the next 10 years. Will we redo the whole process? No. Thank you.
Yes, I brought props. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent and school board members for being here tonight. As everyone said, it's been a very long day for all of us. My name is Tricia Corbin. I live in the Bishop's neighborhood, which I'm going to be very clear. My house is 200 yards away from Jerome High School. My neighbors and I can see the school clearly from our homes. As someone pointed out, several rooms from my home can I see the high school. So I'm here to talk some common sense about the redistricting process. The first rule for any redistricting map should be very simple. If a neighborhood can walk, see, or hear a high school from their very own yards, they should remain zoned to that school. Period. End of story. Our children in Bishops and the neighboring communities currently walk and bike to Jerome all day long. I watch them go past my house. We hear the Jerome band practicing all afternoon. It's quite cool. We see and hear the excitement of the Jerome sporting events. This is our community school in every sense of the word. Requiring Bishop's neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods to ride buses to a school that's 5 miles or more away is a waste of everyone in this room's tax dollars. It creates an unnecessary cross-town traffic that is not necessary. It introduces safety concerns that don't exist from the teenage drivers we've all been talking about, that our walkers and bikers don't have. Make no mistake, the traffic study that was done was a complete joke. It's flawed, and it is not grounded in reality. A final point for your consideration. The Bishop's neighborhood children attend the new Bishop's Elementary, which actually is, well, it is actually on this map. It sits in Jerome's backyard. It's only logical and fair that our children would continue from that school to the very high school that's on the same property. Regardless of whatever map you choose, I'm not sure we care. Let's apply common sense to this redistricting process and keep the Bishop's neighborhood and the surrounding schools that are walkable and bikeable to that school at Jerome High School. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for taking time to listening to us. And again, I'm here to oppose map 3. Again, I live here right across the street in Bishop's Run. I've never even imagined or thought like now I would have to come and speak here or at least provide my opinion for redistricting process the way it is done. But option 3, I would say in my opinion is most disruptive for several families who live within walking distance or close proximity to Jerome High School. The option appears to disregard the established criteria, effectively assigning weightage 0 to 4 out of 8 criteria that was chosen, right? First of all, the proximity. Again, when you consider that weightage is literally 0. Even if you consider transportation efficiency, that's 0, right? And then safety, like with the amount of driving that needs to be done, that's 0. And then continuity, that's 0, right? I would really request you guys to look at the ratings or whatever the methodology that is being used to make sure at least some weightage is given to all of this. Again, I understand that we cannot give equal weightage, but at least it should be some weightage, not 0 weightage. And I've seen the traffic study. I know a lot of times even in the report that it said is it's 10 minutes from Glacier Ridge Southern, the South Gate here. I understand it's 10 minutes if you take your personal transportation. But if you're going from here, hardly again, I understand from junior and senior kids, they might take their personal transportation. But other kids who are actually taking the bus from here, it would literally take almost close to 25 to 30 minutes because I work at Cardinal Health and I travel that route almost every day, and I could see literally a lot of cars backing up because of the roundabouts during these times, right? Even we all started, I'm sure like some of the Cardinal folks here too, right? Again, a lot of folks from my community here, because we started going to work now, and that's actually backing up at every roundabout, almost like even when I'm coming from, my work to home, I could see all the way from the roundabout near Kaufman, all the way to the Kaufman, and again at Asherton, where a lot of people are taking left, and then I actually literally saw at least 2 or 3 accidents in the last 1 month. Right? And even if you come further, there are a lot of roundabouts there. Again, the big roundabout near Murrayfield, again, it doesn't make any big difference. But if you come further, and there is one in Avery, and that backs up, right? And that's going to create a lot of problems for a lot of students driving that route. So I would sincerely advise and request you guys to look at all of these weightages, that whatever that is being taken, consider again, and based on the data, please take a right decision. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ping Sauer, and I have 3 kids, one at Kaufman, one at Grizzell, and one at Bailey. I want to thank the board tonight for taking the time to listen to us. And I also want to thank all the parents who have shared their thoughtful comments and feedback, given how emotional this has all been for us. I'm not sure if I can add much more to what's already been said, but I want to echo my support for MAP 1 because it meets the district's 8 criteria, especially safety, balanced capacity, and long-term sustainability. One of the priorities I want to focus on is preserving community continuity, something Bailey Elementary urgently needs after being redistricted 3 times in 6 years. Under MAP 3, my 2 older children will attend 2 different high schools at the same time. It's hard to tell a child their brother or sister will be across town starting over without familiar faces. For Bailey families, that's not just emotional, it's structural. Only a small number of students would be moving to Scioto, entering a school where they know almost no one. For example, my daughter has her core 4 girlfriends from kindergarten. She's been separated from 2 of them from the last redistricting in the middle school, and she'll be separated from her last best friend with this high school redistricting. Bailey's already just one of the 4 elementaries split between 2 middle schools and the only elementary school that feeds into all 3 high schools. No other school in Dublin faces this level of fragmentation. I also want to address the focus on diversity. Diversity is one of Dublin's greatest strengths, but the version being measured here is solely socioeconomic. Equity means more than just a single metric. It includes safety, access, belonging, and stability. A map that looks balanced on paper but isolates kids in practice doesn't create true equity. When comparing MAP 1 and MAP 3, remembering Bailey misses key criteria in MAP 3, proximity, transportation, safety, and continuity. I've heard that moving the least amount of students is the most fair. However, moving fewer students isn't fairness when it's the same students over and over again. In MAP 3, many Bailey and Bristol students lose the ability to walk and bike, and for working parents, that means longer mornings, fewer after-school activities, or longer waits for our children to get picked up. True equity includes accessibility, giving students a safe, practical way to get to school and fully participate. So I want you to reconsider draft 1 or consider it only, because it's the most balanced, data-driven, and student-centered, and clear choice for our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Durishin from Brandon, and I literally just landed from a flight from Las Vegas to be here tonight because this situation and this decision is that important to our family and our community. So I apologize for my appearance. I support MAP number 1. I want to share 3 critical points that I hope you'll consider. 1, first, a draft 3 doesn't solve the problem, it just delays it. Your own projections showed Jerome reaching 111% utilization within 10 years. That means we'll be right back here disrupting families all over again. If we're going to put thousands of families through redistricting, shouldn't we choose a plan that provides long-term stability rather than one that guarantees we'll be doing this again in less than a decade? Second, geography matters, and not just on a map, as we've seen here already tonight. Brandon is 1.6 miles from Kaufman via a direct, safe, bikeable route. Scioto is over 3 miles away, requiring bridge crossings through congested corridors. Yes, it looks close as the crow flies, but our kids can't fly. They need practical, safe routes. Draft 3 would eliminate walkability for our neighborhood to solve a problem we didn't create. Third, and most importantly, and most passionately, we're not addressing the root cause. I did just watch a great movie on the way back today called Moneyball, and he kept asking about the root cause. What's the question or the problem we're trying to solve? Northwest Dublin growth is driving this entire redistricting, yet every map protects those communities from any impact. If we're serious about long-term solutions, my suggestion is to move Eversole Run Middle School students to Scioto High School. They already rely on driving. It would create a natural feeder pattern, and it actually addresses growth where it's happening, instead of just disrupting established Franklin County neighborhoods that have been here for years. So in conclusion, I flew back tonight from Vegas here because I believe you want to make the right decision, one based on sound planning principles, not just the path of least resistance. Draft 1 provides that solution. It respects geography, maintains walkable neighborhoods, and provides the stability our entire district needs. Thank you for your time and consideration on what's best for all Dublin families.
Hello. Thank you to the school superintendent and school board. I'm compared to several of my colleagues who are client neighbors who spoke here, I'm relatively new to Dublin about 3 years ago. And the thing that struck to me when we moved to Dublin from Memphis was the walkability of the neighborhood. I have 2 daughters, one in 2nd grade and 4th grade. They just got redistricted to Bishop Elementary and they love their school. But one of the things they have been dreaming about is kind of being able to walk to school or bike to school. I know this is a process that you do not want to take over and over again, given how arduous this process is and how much it affects individual families. So I'm hoping we choose an option that is going to last at least for the next 20 years, if not more. I'm speaking here not just as a parent, but as a pediatrician. I take care of kids who unfortunately get hurt in road traffic accidents. And if one thing as a pediatrician that is my responsibility as a professional is to make sure we make a decision that provides safety to our kids as the priority. And I want you to deliberately think about the option to provide the safest option for kids as they go to their school, which is if they're able to safely walk to school, bike to school without creating more road traffic, that will be ideal for kids in terms of their safety as well as provide more time for education. So I'm here proposing support for Map 1 and opposing Map 3. Thank you.
Seth?
Thank you. Hello, my name is Seth Ringel, and I'm a resident of the Brandon neighborhood in the Bailey and Grizzell feeder cohort. I'd like to talk a little bit about some data here today. I know you've heard a lot of stories and a lot of data, but here's a little more. I want to make clear that Map 1 is the safe and responsible choice. It has 46% fewer major road crossings, and this is from the traffic study that you guys commissioned. It also has 22% less total commute time in the AM commute period. And I will say that that AM commute period of 7 a.m. is probably not accurate and is probably far greater at 7:30 a.m., the difference there. Additionally, the traffic from Bailey, from the Bailey Grizzell cohort and from the neighborhood south of Jerome are not really included in the traffic study with respect to the fact that this is going to be net new traffic when we're talking about kids that are able to walk or bike to school currently that would have to be driven or have a busing cohort under map 3. That's 269 kids from the Bailey Grizzell cohort and another 285 from that South Jerome area. The commute is even worse for those in that Bailey Grizzell cohort because we would have to give our middle school kids rides out all the way west to Grizzell and high school kids all the way east to Scioto. So that is in a blue sky, no traffic day, 35 minutes plus. That doesn't really account for what it would actually be on a school day. Additionally, map 3 just simply creates far more isolation for our neighborhoods. The Bailey Grizzell cohort, as some other folks have said, would have 15% of that student population, and that's after the 4 years of kind of transition. That's 3.7% in that first year, and only after that does it even remotely anybody that they might know in those schools. This is not only isolating within that school itself, but then also when you consider wanting to hang out with friends on the weekend. You are now 3.5 miles. You're very isolated. You are not actually in the same neighborhood as the people that you go to school with. Additionally, there is an issue that I'd like to bring up with the IPT scoring and transparency behind that. This is a qualitative survey taken by 15 people. It is not data-driven. The Cropper data presented explicitly showed that the map 3 growth at the 5 and 10 year was the worst out of the maps, and yet it scored the highest in that IPT scoring. I don't quite understand how that happened. I'd like to also say that if we are looking at ways to adjust map 1 to make some of that scoring a little bit better in terms of feeder pattern and some utilization, then map 9 is a good option. It just takes that area that a couple of folks have spoken about today in Old Dublin and brings them into that Kaufman cohort. And I would also like to mention that the Envision Dublin plan plans for 2 greenways that are walkable from that Old Dublin into the Kaufman area. So that's an additional thing to take note if there's plans for the community.
Good evening. My name is CJ Ryvek. I live in Brandon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I watched my first ever live stream of a board meeting the other night, and one of the takeaways was that map 3 scored higher than map 1 in the internal voting. And I thought this was pretty confusing based on the criteria because map 3 seems to contradict a lot of the criteria in your own study. And I'd like to give you a few examples of that. I'll start with utilization and future growth. One of the key objectives in your study was to address the current and future enrollment growth for Jerome. You also mentioned in that meeting that another redistricting is likely in the future, and I think map 1 does the best job of bringing as many students as possible away from Jerome and sending them to other schools in the district. Also, as expressed here tonight, redistricting is emotional and painful, and if I were you, I would want to prolong the next one of these nights for as long as possible. My next point deals with proximity and transportation efficiency. Like many others have mentioned, I live in Brandon, and it's going to just take longer to get to Scioto if that's the direction that we go. We have to cross the Emerald Parkway Bridge. It's going to increase traffic times, going to increase traffic. You're going to convert kids that are going to be able to bike or walk into drivers. You're going to have to bus potentially more kids. It's going to cost more money. A lot of negatives with that. But we can't really see a lot of those numbers because you haven't done a comprehensive traffic study. There actually was a traffic study done in the community that I saw on Facebook. It was actually picked up by Substack recently. I don't know if you have a chance to review that, but if you haven't, you should take a look at that because, again, it pretty much makes a decision that map 1 is better. Third point, Establishing contingent zones and the use of natural boundaries, I think this is pretty obvious. I think map 1 certainly uses I-270 and the river as pretty obvious natural boundaries. You have communities like Brandon that are completely isolated from the surrounding communities. You even have some in the south that have the same problem. So I think, again, map 1 wins the day there. And then my last point deals with feeder patterns. Again, as others have mentioned, right now Bailey will split between 2 middle schools. Grizzell is going to be split between 2 high schools. And if map 3 is chosen, then you're going to have a very few number of students that are around the Bailey and Brandon area that will go to Scioto. So that means they're going to spend the majority of their education growing up with the same kids, and all of a sudden they're going to go and be with kids they don't know. So close with, I urge you to choose map 1 because it makes the most sense and it hits most of the points in the objectives.
All right, I'm going to keep this brief because I have to go pick up my daughter from volleyball. So my name is Chad Fairchild. I'm representing Waterford Village and Old Dublin. As he just mentioned, the data that was pulled, I pulled that data. We as a neighborhood pulled that data. We did our homework, and honestly, it makes Cropper's work look pretty elementary. All the data says the same thing, though. Keeping Old Dublin at Kaufman is a balanced, efficient, stable choice. And a lot of people here have said it. Map 9 proves it. It's the most balanced. We've analyzed the data ourselves. It is the most balanced of all the maps. I think you guys also know that. And remember, our district is 94 students, and this is 94 students over several years. We're talking about 10 kids tops every year that will get isolated and have to go to Scioto by themselves. Sometimes it'll be 4 kids. There's been a lot of talk about mental health. Like, I can tell you, sending 4 kids on their own to a high school is like moving to a new city. So moving them doesn't solve the capacity or equity. It disrupts the neighborhood that's already working exactly as it was intended. Our numbers are solid, our case is clear, and our message is pretty simple. No map is complete without Old Dublin at Kaufman. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julie Kinsel, and I'm a parent of 3 children at Thomas Elementary, and I live in Llewellyn Farms in Dublin. I'll just get to the point. I don't support any of the 3 maps that have been proposed. This process is not data-driven and not transparent. It has not been from the beginning. Because of this, I believe we need to start over. We've seen repeated poor redistricting decisions in the past, especially impacting Kaufman families. Indian Run families moved from cells to Carr and then back. Bailey families shifted from cells to Grizzell, then some onto Carr. Meanwhile, cells sat unutilized, and some of these Bailey families can bike to cells. Wyandotte families moved to Bailey. Wyandotte is now underutilized, and people can open enroll there. While it may look like Thomas Elementary has not been affected, that is not true. Thomas serves students from 32 birth countries with close to a dozen languages. Some of these students have full-time paras that are assigned to them due to behavioral needs. Teachers are stretched thin. They don't have time and energy to apply for grants such as the Dublin Educational Foundation. Thomas is essentially many different communities within one school, split by language and geographical boundaries. My kids can't safely cross Scioto River to get down Hayden Run to visit friends. My oldest can ride his bike to Waterford Village. These details matter and they shouldn't be ignored. Instead of rushing and risking another flawed redistricting, we should start over from scratch, beginning with high school, then middle, then elementary school, and do it right. Dr. M should be held accountable. This process lacked promised data and transparency. Why hasn't safety data been included in traffic studies for maps 1 through 3? Isn't Dangerous Glick Road entire neighborhoods such as Muirfield, Shawnee Hills, and Jerome Village were excluded and left out, that they shouldn't be excluded. Pull them in and let the data tell us. If this is about growth in the Northwest, then let's move Jerome students to Scioto. It would impact the least amount of students. Right now, safety is supposedly one of the 8 scoring criteria, but it's not shown in the maps. Instead, it seems neighborhood unity has been prioritized, and that is not even a listed metric. We owe it to our students not to rush and do this wrong again. Let's stop bouncing Kaufman families around and make every school in our district a place kids are proud to attend.
Diana Zing, 26. 26. 27.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Dennison. Really appreciate y'all, but I actually want to just talk to this group for a moment. This has been so inspiring, truly. Between the energy you all have put forth, collecting data, coming together as a community, just awesome to see. I think our kids are going to be all right, no matter what the outcomes are. I really believe that. Now, there's been tons of data points. Conversations of all sorts presented here. So really, I don't have too much to add. There's been plenty of emails that everybody from my community has been sharing. By the way, I come from Old Dublin. The only things that I think I want to throw out here as well, just for consideration that I haven't heard yet tonight, is that DCS, we don't live in a vacuum. We're also part of Dublin City. Of course, we also have folks who are outside of Dublin City, but it feels like there's sort of a war between some of the outcomes of the redistricting efforts and what Dublin City is ultimately proposing, which is focusing on walkability, focusing on biking, having that over transportation and commuter cars. Some of these maps, as we've heard from so many of the neighborhoods here, it's just it's completely upending those efforts from the city. So I think that's worth considering. Haven't heard that yet. So I'm actually a graduate of Olentangy High School. So I went through quite a bit of redistricting when I was growing up. I went to 3 different elementary schools, 2 middle schools, thankfully only 1 high school. I was the very last senior class to not be affected by that redistricting. I thought it was interesting to look back at 2017 when they did a redistricting, which is that they actually they did the redistricting in such a way that it actually alleviated traffic through some of the major areas in Powell that are notorious for congestion, specifically in the downtown area. Being in Old Dublin, I'm very concerned about the congestion that some of these redistricting efforts are going to have on the congestion at Bridge and High. So ultimately, I would be requesting that you consider how that will impact the congestion in those areas and congestion around the city as well. I see the rest of my time. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. So I had a full speech prepared for tonight, but after listening to everyone, I only have one thing to say. Please listen to everyone. Honestly, listen to everyone. That's the only thing I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jesse Armstrong. I am the president of the Amberley Association HOA. I am here tonight on behalf of that association, on behalf of myself, my 3 children that go to Bailey Elementary, and on behalf of our Bailey community. I also had notes and comments prepared. I will echo our prior speaker and a lot of our Bailey community here tonight, and a lot of what they said. I think there is a very common sense point that maybe we're missing here, getting lost missing the forest for the trees. We are here for one reason, and that is the overcrowding at Jerome. The purpose of this whole endeavor is to alleviate that overcrowding, and that purpose, that objective, sits at the top here. These 8 criteria that we're all debating, we're talking about, we're doing different data studies on, those are there to support, but they are secondary of that objective. And in studying the 2 maps that are remaining here, if those are really the 2 options we have, one of those maps meets your goal, meets your objective, and one doesn't. Map 3 simply does not pull enough kids out of Jerome to be a long-term, proper solution to our current problem, which is why we're here going through this endeavor to begin with. And I know there's been a lot of criticism of the superintendent, of our consultant, who we're paying huge sums of money, but I want to say they had this right at the beginning. I too have listened for the first time to meetings on YouTube, and I recall at the September 22nd meeting, Dr. M said, I'm prepared, or was prepared, to bring forward one map. I believe that was map 9, which, and I'll address what I think is sort of the elephant in the room here, to properly pull these kids out of Jerome and to fix our core problem, Muirfield has to come out of Jerome and go to Kaufman. These other maps gerrymander all of these surrounding neighborhoods, all of whom you've heard from tonight, with ridiculous outcomes that do not address and do not meet your overall goal, which is to alleviate the overcrowding at Jerome. If it's map 1 and map 3, the choice is simple. You have to choose map 1. Map 3 sets us up for failure, and we will be here again in 3 or 4 years going through the same arduous, difficult process. I will also say map 9, what I believe was the originally proposed map, may do just as well, if not better, than map 1. So map 1, map 9, map 3 does not accomplish your objective. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ying Liu. Actually, I'm not expecting to give public a speech. This is my first time. I didn't do any homework, and I'm sorry. I just want to share my basic opinion. And as one of the residents as Westbury subdivision, and I have a freshman in OSU, and I have a 5th grader in Wyandotte. And I think when we move in Westbury community, we are expecting our kids to go to Jerome High and graduate from there. And in the middle, we're suddenly here, oh my God, it's redivision. What happened? I never met this before. And always think our home is less than 1 mile away from the Jerome High. Actually 0.7 walking distance and 0.8 driving distance. I think just in my common sense, I'm not able. No, I'm sorry. I think it's unreasonable to move us to the Kaufman High. It's 3.2 miles away. And I think we have a closely connection to the Jerome High in the past few years. For the new building, set it up, we donate our brick to the Jerome High, and when something, the kids has the car crash, and we, as a member of the community, we donate our whatever I can do, and we express our sympathy to the kids, to the families. So I think we would like to keep our family to stay with the Jerome High, and I just urge the school board to consider, and thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you.
Jen will be our last person this evening.
Hello, thank you for your time. I'm Jen, and I am an Amberley resident. I have a 7th grader at Grizzell and a 5th grader at Bailey. Everyone has mentioned we were put through a recent redistricting and feel map 3 unfairly splits our community. Because of that, looking at feeder patterns, I also am team map 9 because I don't feel like the cell split is fair for those Indian Run kids in map 3. When you think about not having to do this in the future, I know everyone mentioned Jerome's fill rate. Dr. M has also mentioned middle school 6, which would be in the Jerome district. And so feeder patterns going forward, you would assume new middle school and Eversole would feed to Jerome. That would send Grizzell and Carr to Kaufman and Sells and Davis to Scioto. If you pull us to Scioto from Grizzell, it makes all of that very messy. I think another point I would like to mention, as far as contiguous boundaries, on the cute maps that you sent out, Amberley looks like it matches right with Scioto. There is not a bridge there. Our families would either have to drive north through all that purple to Glick or south through all that green to Emerald Parkway. So it's not as pretty as it looks on the map. Oh, I'm so nervous. Okay.
Make the most of it.
Yes, try to get every last little second. Oh, I think all of my other talking points have been said. I just hope you hear what everyone here said tonight. Thank you so much.
One quick second. I got opportunity to speak. Many of them did not get opportunities. All I need is 15-second attention. How many reject map 3? Okay. Please bring your hands down. How many support map 1? Okay. There you are.
What I want, just hold on, you guys, hold on. We got through the comment section, and I just want to say on behalf of Dr. Marshausen and Mrs. Gillis and myself and the entire board, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I was at the morning session, it was just as crowded, and you know, it's a testament to this community, how engaged all of you are, and we want you to be a part of this process, and I'm so happy that we had tonight and this day to listen to everyone, because, I mean, the emails are great, you know, they're still coming, fast and furious. The survey option, I don't think gave people, certainly didn't give them this. You know, the ability to dive in and look at the objectives and look at the emotional and have your voice heard by other community members. So I just thank all of you for being here tonight. We appreciate it very much, and we will take everything, all the comments, to heart, and hopefully move on from here. So thank you. Have a good night.
Exactly. Actually, I thought the representatives were talking. Otherwise, I would have certainly registered. Exactly. I mean, this is ridiculous. But like, someone should have told me, like, see, no one is doing it from close to the, I would have told. Yeah, I mean, that's... Oh, is it? I was busy actually. I cancelled a dinner party and came here. Otherwise, like... So you are in draft 3 or you are not in draft 1? You are also not. So we are in none of them. So which draft we are supporting? I am one. So which draft we are in? We are in none of them. So what are you? So they have to
See you on Friday.
I mean, mostly, we are not part of anything except draft 5. Except draft 5. But draft 5 have other problems. No. What? There will be no draft 1. There will be a combination of, it will be a change in one of it. So because people are saying, because one is a small change, one is just add, 3 is a big change. So, I mean,
I thought that representatives from your commission and our commission. I seriously didn't know, otherwise I would have been I would have spoken.
But you said it's in the group saying that you gotta be getting on ahead. You gotta pay attention to that. Because I have the whole script. I couldn't get to my script because I thought.
But 26 is not here, so I would have.
You cannot take it.